Okay, so I'm about to review this book that I bought from Barnes& and Noble. It's called Hard Lessons from the Hurt Business by Ed Lattimore. I've actually came across Ed Lattimore through YouTube. I accidentally came across his channel, and he had some interesting things to say about his life. And so I had subscribed to him, and then I unsubscribed from him because I had discovered a joke that he made, which I found offensive. So, however, I did want to read his book because um, I think he had lived a unique life that I want to talk about um, through the book that I've read. And so I've read through this whole book. I went to Barnes and Noble at first, and then I wound up just buying this book in order to read it at home. I have more time to read it, basically. So anyway, I read through this book, and it's very interesting. It talks about things that I've never known before, like the boxing business. I've actually considered going into boxing myself when I was in my 20s. So anyway, I just want to go ahead and talk about the book from the beginning to the end. And so in the beginning, Ed Lattimore was talking about his childhood and how he grew up. He basically grew up in the ghetto, basically. There was lots of hardship, and he grew up in a single family home. His father would come in and out, but he didn't really do much for him growing up. And so during that time, Mr. Lattimore experienced lots of hardship and abuse. That was even a time which stuck out, where his mother had to hire a babysitter who happens to be a drug addict, and so it was horrible. And so anyway, but he did mention some things that kind of remind me of my childhood. He mentioned a couple of video games like Tecmo Super Bowl. I've actually played this game when I was a child. Back in 1994, I played with my cousins here in Jefferson, Texas, on a Nintendo. So it was nice. And when he became a teenager, he started going to like a high school that is more upscale, and he started hanging out with more people from more wealthier backgrounds. And so during that time, he started playing games such as Final Fantasy VII and Marvel Superheroes, and those games I'm familiar with as well because I played Final Fantasy VII back when I was in ninth grade, the fall of my freshman year, and Marvel Superheroes I played that the summer before my freshman year. So that right there, I have a connection with his story just because of that, and also he got with people that sort of put him on the right path for success. But despite that, he didn't graduate from high school, technically. But he was able to go to college. And basically, he didn't do well in college. And so at one point, he dropped out because he started becoming addicted to alcohol. And, one thing led to another. And the final straw broke was when he was at his girlfriend's mother's house. And his girlfriend's mother in 2006 kicked him out because she saw that he wasn't really going anywhere with his life. And I can relate to that as well because I've been kicked out back in 2006 myself, which I'll talk about in a later video. And so at that point, Mr. Lattimore decided to take up boxing, take it more seriously. And so he talks about how it's a poor man's sport, basically. It's not like one of the big four sports like football, basketball, baseball, or I think soccer, where you have to actually been playing since you was a child in order to be good at it, and you have to play during middle school and high school, and college. It's a process of becoming a pro, and very few people do that. With boxing, you can start anywhere, pretty much anywhere in your life. You don't ever have to have boxed through one punch as a child in order to start boxing. But it's still a brutal sport. And he talks about it, and it's a tricky business as well. it's still, you still have to know the right people to train you. And so, and it's not very lucrative at first. So you have to sort of work your way up in order to become a better paid boxer, so to speak. And Mr. Lattimore started out as an amateur, and he worked his way up and became an amateur champion. And then after that, he actually moved to across the country to Los Angeles to fight as a pro. And that was very insightful, because I did not know all these things about boxing, the process and how things work, and how who you train with makes a difference, and ability to travel. But the thing is, he didn't make that much money, but he was able to make enough in order to pay off his debts. And he did fight in a professional leagues for a short period of time, and won against an Olympian. He actually won a fight against a future Olympian at one point, which was very impressive. And so, but he still had this demon that's tugging at him, his alcohol addiction, and so that sort of put his boxing career in jeopardy. And so, he couldn't basically, he had to, one thing led to another. He had to leave professional boxing for a while, and they cut his pay. And so that's when he decided to go into the military, and that helped him that helped stabilize his life and helped him go back into boxing in order to, I guess rebuild himself up, start from where he left off. But at some point, he realized that boxing wasn't for him, and he decided to finish up in the military. He doesn't really talk about that much, about his time in the military, but he did say something about how it was in the beginning, where in the National Guard, they say it's like several weekends per year, and 2 weeks out of the year, he actually spent more time than what was advertised. So I actually considered going to the military as well when I was a teenager, 17 years old, but I backed out at the last moment because I saw how the military personnel was talking to the new recruits, and so and plus my cousin didn't want me to go into the military as well. So at the last minute before I swore in, I backed out. I was going to go into the Army Reserves. Mr. Lattimore went into the Army National Guard, and he talks about how intense it was, and and where he could not drink alcohol at all while he was there. That helped him get off and become sober. And so towards the end of the book, he doesn't really talk much about, what happened whether or not he doesn't really talk about anything else about the military or about what he did after boxing and after he got out of the military. He did say that he went to college, but he doesn't go into much detail other than that he decided to major in math and physics because math was his weak point when he was in high school. He struggled very much at it. And so, so throughout the book, there will be different titles that says things like, let me see here. So here's one of the titles that he would put throughout his book, like here, win the fight before you go to war. So that's one of the philosophies that he would put as titles in each chapter and in each section. And so anyway, so I did learn a lot from reading this book. It inspired me to do things in order to stabilize my own life, such as right now I work at the post office, and so I see post office a lot like boxing, really, because you have to actually know what you're doing and do things in a timely manner and get mail and packages delivered, and it requires real physical effort, just like boxing, So anyway, this is a good book to check out if you want to know about how boxing works and about what it's like to grow up poor in a bad area of town, and what it's really like when you first go into the military, and how people can change their lives, even at a later period, even at a later age. It's really never too late unless your body starts to break down. Then I guess you can say it would be too late, but you know, it's very inspiring, this book is. It's just that I just don't like the guy as a person. I think the guy is arrogant. Like I said in the beginning, he made a joke on YouTube about coffee, black people, and slavery. That joke was very offensive. He still have it on his community page, and so that's what caused me to not want to subscribe to him anymore, because, you know, why joke about people suffering? Nobody would joke about the Holocaust, so why joke about slavery? That is not a joke. So anyway, that's my review of the book, and if you like, go ahead and check it out. But, you know, it's a good book. But I'm still going to take it back to Barnes & Noble and get my refund, because I'm still not supporting this guy as a person. But I will say that this is a good book to read if you're looking for inspiration. And with that, like, subscribe, and share this video, and I'll talk to you later.